Fleet Admiral Zixthara stood on the bridge of the Domination's edge, her crystalline carapace gleaming under the ship's bioluminescent panels. Through the viewport, Earth hung like a blue marble against the void, exactly as she remembered from the Conquest records. 3 centuries had passed since the Zephyrian Collective had effortlessly crushed this primitive world, and now they needed its inhabitants for a different purpose. Admiral long-range sensors confirm planetary defensive. Systems are minimal, reported Navigation Officer Kethmore, his mandibles clicking with confusion. But these readings are strange. Energy signatures don't match our historical data. Zixthara's 4 arms gestured dismissively. She had reviewed the Conquest archives personally. Humans with their projectile weapons, their fragile aircraft, their governments that crumbled at the first sign of superior force. They had been useful as laborers and test subjects for 50 years before the Collective found richer worlds to exploit. Now, with rebellion spreading across their outer territories, they needed cannon fodder, and humans, while pathetic, had proven surprisingly resilient under pressure. "Prepare the conscription protocols," she commanded. "We'll need at least 10 million humans for the Outer Rim campaigns. Their weakness in individual combat might actually serve us well expendable soldiers who follow orders out of fear." The tactical display showed Earth's familiar continents, but something nagged at the Admiral. The energy readings were ... different. Not the scattered electrical grids they'd left behind, but something more organized, more purposeful. "Sir, I'm detecting what appears to be a transmission directed at our fleet," Communications Specialist Vexara announced, her voice trembling slightly. It's in perfect Zephyrian. The old ceremonial dialect. Zixthara's blood chilled. Humans shouldn't know their language beyond basic commands. Put it through. A human voice filled the bridge, speaking in flawless, ancient Zephyrian. "Welcome home, Admiral Zixthara. We've been expecting you for quite some time. Please accept our invitation to catch up on old times." The Admiral's auxiliary hearts skipped a beat. How did they know her name? Her rank? The ceremonial dialect had been dead for millennia, known only to the highest-ranking Collective officials. She looked at her crew, seeing her own unease reflected in their compound eyes. "Full sensor sweep of the planet," she ordered, trying to keep the tremor from her voice. "I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." As the sensors probed deeper, the impossible readings multiplied. Energy output that dwarfed their mothership. Defensive installations that registered as larger than entire Collective battle stations. And most disturbing of all, their primitive. Humans somehow had tracking locks on every ship in the fleet. The humans hadn't just survived their abandonment. They had been preparing. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood in the war room of the New Geneva Command Center, her weathered hands tracing the holographic display showing the Zephyrian fleet in Earth's orbit. At 83, she was one of the last humans, born during the occupation. The neural implant behind her left ear glowed softly, connecting her to the vast network of human consciousness that had evolved in their absence. "Grandmother, they've taken the bait," reported Captain Marcus Chun, her protégé and one of humanity's finest tactical minds. His own implants pulsed with data streams from across the solar system. All 14 motherships are holding position, exactly where our projections indicated they would. Elena smiled, remembering her childhood in the labor camps, watching her parents work themselves to death, mining rare minerals for alien masters. Every human alive carried that generational trauma, but they had transformed it into something the Zephyrians never anticipated: unified purpose. "Phase 1 of the Reckoning Protocol is complete," she announced to the assembled command staff. "For 2.5 centuries, we've studied every piece of technology they left behind. We've reverse-engineered their systems, improved upon their designs, and most importantly, we've learned to think like them." The holographic Earth rotated slowly, revealing the true scope of humanity's transformation. Massive orbital platforms disguised as space debris, moon-based installations that could crack continents, and hidden throughout the solar system, a network of observation posts that had been quietly studying the collective for generations. Our deep cover agents report that the rebellions in the outer territories are proceeding on schedule, added Dr. Sarah Kim, Director of Galactic Intelligence. The collective believes they're facing random uprisings. They have no idea that every rebel cell has been armed with technology we've been developing specifically to counter their defenses. Elena's neural implant chimed with an incoming message from Commander Rodriguez aboard the hidden fortress in the asteroid belt. Zephyrian Fleet is requesting permission to begin surface operations. They want to establish processing centers in former population centers. Grant them permission, Elena decided. Let them land. Let them spread out. Let them believe they're dealing with the same frightened humans they remember. Marcus frowned. Grandmother, that puts millions of civilians at risk. Marcus, those civilians volunteered for this role 3 generations ago. Every human on Earth knows exactly what they're walking into. We've been preparing for this moment since the day they left us. Elena's eyes hardened. They made us into slaves once. They'll never have the chance to do it again. The command center buzzed with activity as humanity's greatest gambit entered its second phase. Across the planet, seemingly primitive cities prepared to reveal their true nature. The Zephyrians expected to find medieval humans cowering in fear. Instead, they would discover what 3 centuries of focused vengeance could accomplish. Commander Brixtol led the first landing party toward what their sensors identified as New York's ruins. His exoskeleton hummed with confidence as the transport descended through Earth's atmosphere. Around him, 50 Zephyrian soldiers checked their weapons, expecting minimal resistance from the pathetic humans they dominated so easily before. Remember, we need them alive for conscription, Brixtol announced over the comm. Stun settings only until we establish compliance. These humans should surrender immediately once they see us. They know what we're capable of. Through the viewport, Earth's surface looked exactly as expected. Primitive settlements scattered among ruins, crude structures that barely qualified as architecture. The humans had clearly regressed even further during their abandonment. The transport touched down in what had once been Times Square. Brixtol activated his helmet's translator and stepped onto Earth soil for the first time. The air tasted of metal and something else, something that made his sensory organs twitch with unease. Zephyrians, came a voice from the shadows between buildings. We remember you. A figure emerged, an elderly human female, bent with age, wearing simple clothing. Behind her, more humans appeared, all showing the same calm demeanor that Brixtol found deeply unsettling. Where was the panic? The screaming? The immediate surrender? I am Commander Brixtol of the Zephyrian Collective, he announced, his voice amplified by his suit's speakers. You will comply with conscription protocols immediately. Resistance will result in immediate termination. The old woman smiled. My name is Maria Santos. I was 12 when you left us. I've been waiting 71 years to say this. Welcome to the trap. The ground beneath the landing party's feet began to glow. What they had mistaken for primitive concrete was actually a sophisticated composite material, honeycombed with energy. Conduits. The ruins around them shimmered and revealed their true nature, advanced defensive positions, bristling with weapons technology that made their own equipment look obsolete. Impossible, Brixtol breathed, his scanner readings climbing beyond comprehension. These energy signatures, they're beyond our theoretical maximums. Maria's smile widened. You left us your textbooks when you abandoned us. Every child learned Zephyrian technology in school. Every engineer spent their career improving upon your designs. Every soldier trained to fight opponents exactly like you. The buildings around them revealed hidden weapons platforms. The primitive human suddenly displayed coordination that spoke of neural networking beyond anything the collective had achieved. And most terrifying of all, Brickstall realized that his transport, his only means of escape, was now completely disabled by some kind of localized field generator. You see, Commander, Maria continued, you made one critical error in your assessment of humanity. You assumed that your memory of our defeat was permanent. You never considered that we might use that defeat as motivation. Across the globe, similar scenes played out as every Zephyrian landing party discovered the same truth. Earth wasn't a primitive world ripe for exploitation. It was a carefully constructed trap, baited with the collective's own arrogance. Asterisk, asterisk. Admiral Zixthara's command center erupted in chaos as reports flooded in from the surface. Every landing party was trapped, their equipment disabled by technology that shouldn't exist. The humans weren't just resisting, they were systematically dismantling collective forces with surgical precision. Admiral, we're detecting massive energy buildups across the planet, reported sensor technician Vexara, her voice cracking with fear. These readings, they're showing weapons platforms that outclass our mothership's main cannons. On the main display, Earth's surface transformed before their eyes. What had appeared to be primitive settlements revealed themselves as sophisticated military installations. Hidden launch bays opened like flowers, blooming in fast forward, disgorging craft that moved with impossible speed and maneuverability. How is this possible? Zixthara demanded. Our intelligence indicated pre-industrial civilization at best. New voice filled the bridge human, but speaking perfect Zephyrian in an accent that made the Admiral's spine crawl with recognition. Your intelligence was 3 centuries out of date, Admiral. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Director Jonathan Mitchell, great-grandson of Professor Emily Mitchell, whom you used as a test subject in 2157. The face that appeared on their screen was unmistakably human, but the eyes held a cold intelligence that reminded Zixthara of the collective's own strategic minds. Behind him, she could see a command center that rivaled anything the collective had ever constructed. You see, Admiral, you taught us a valuable lesson during your occupation. You showed us exactly what we needed to become to ensure our survival. Every piece of equipment you left behind, every technological principle you demonstrated, every strategic doctrine you employed, we studied it all. Zixthara, as tactical officer, spoke up urgently. Admiral, our fleet is being targeted by weapons we can't even properly classify. Energy signatures suggest they're using our own power core technology, but amplified beyond our engineering specifications. Correct. Mitchell continued with a smile that never reached his eyes. We improved upon your designs. We had to. You see, we discovered something about ourselves during those 50 years of slavery. Humans don't just adapt to survive. We adapt to ensure that threats to our survival are permanently eliminated. The Admiral watched in horror as Earth's moon revealed massive launch facilities. What humanity had built during their centuries of freedom wasn't just defensive, was a complete military-industrial complex designed around a single principle: never again. The rebellions in your outer territories, Mitchell added casually, those weren't random uprisings. Those were field tests. Every rebel cell was equipped with weapons we designed specifically to counter collective technology. Every battle was a data-gathering exercise. We've been studying your weaknesses for generations. The truth hit Zixthara like a physical blow. The collective hadn't returned to Earth to gather reinforcements. They had walked directly into the final phase of humanity's centuries-long revenge plan. The last transmission from the Zephyrian Collective's flagship came 3 hours after Director Mitchell's revelation. Admiral Zixthara's voice stripped of all arrogance, pleaded for terms of surrender that would never come. Elena Vasquez stood on the observation deck of humanity's flagship, the Reckoning, a vessel built entirely from reverse-engineered and improved collective technology. Through the reinforced viewports, she watched as the last Zephyrian mothership's reactor core went critical, adding another star-bright explosion to the orbital graveyard. "It's finished," Captain Chun reported from behind her. "All collective. Vessels in the system have been neutralized. Our deep space monitoring stations confirm that no distress signals escaped the jamming field." Elena nodded, her aged hands steady despite the magnitude of what humanity had accomplished. At her feet lay the ceremonial chain's actual restraints from the labor camps, preserved by the Remembrance Council for this moment. She had just broken them with her own hands, completing a ritual that every human alive understood. "And the outer territories?" she asked. "Our embedded agents report complete success," Dr. Kim answered from the tactical station. "The Collective's remaining fleets are either destroyed or scattered. Their administrative centers are in full collapse. After 3 centuries of careful planning, the Zephyrian Collective has ceased to exist as a galactic power." Elena smiled, thinking of her parents, her grandparents, all the humans who had lived and died as slaves, never knowing that their suffering would forge something magnificent. Begin Phase 2 of the Liberation Protocol. Every world the Collective enslaved deserves the chance at freedom we've won. The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, their neural implants coordinating efforts across dozens of star systems simultaneously. Humanity's transformation hadn't just been technological, it had been evolutionary. The species that had once been broken by a superior force had become something entirely new. Director Mitchell sends his compliments from Earth Communications. Officer Torres reported, "The Planetary Defense Network is transitioning to peacetime status. Reconstruction of surface cities can begin immediately." Elena felt the weight of centuries lifting from her shoulders. Earth was free. Humanity was free. And across the galaxy, the message would spread. The species that had once been enslaved had become liberators. "Set course for Kepler 442b," she commanded. The Altarian colonies have been under collective rule for 400 years. It's time they learned what freedom tastes like. As the Reckoning engaged its advanced drive systems technology that made Zephyrian ships look like ancient, spacecraft Elena reflected on the lesson humanity had taught the galaxy. The Collective's fatal mistake hadn't been underestimating human technology or military capability. They had underestimated human memory and the power of a species that would never, ever forget what it felt like to be helpless. The universe was about to learn why you never challenge humanity twice.